In the last session, we have started discussing the cost function for logistic regression, right? So let me recall back what is logistic regression and why it is being used. Logistic regression is a kind of classification algorithm, right? And the most important point to be noted is logistic regression is having the sigmoid function as the hypothesis, right? And we have started discussing how to define the cost function for logistic regression. So let us precisely see our problem statement. So what we have is, we are having m examples or m number of samples in our training data set. So these training samples are denoted as x1, y1, x2, y2 up to xm, ym. So m number of examples, and every example may have n number of features. So here x1 denotes the feature vector for example 1 and y1 denotes the known class of that example. So this feature vector x may have n number of features, and we are having the training data set with m examples. So our feature vector can be described like this. It is a column vector. So n features we have, those are denoted here as x1, x2 up to xn, and we have added x0 as one more feature, right? And this x0 is always 1, okay? And our class is a label. So class y belongs to either 0 or 1. Okay, that is a class. That is a class label. So it is a discrete value. And in logistic regression, we have seen that our hypothesis is of the form of a sigmoid function. And this sigmoid function is written as 1 divided by 1 plus e to the power minus theta transpose x. Right? So we have seen these concepts. This is just the revision. Okay. What we are interested in is, we would like to choose now the parameters theta for our hypothesis h theta x. Okay. And now to come up with these parameters, we need to define a cost function that we would like to optimize. Am I clear? Yes. Am I clear? Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
Any
Yes,
doubts so
ma'am.
far? Any doubts so far? May I proceed?
Yes.
Okay. So, the cost function for linear regression, and how we defined cost function for linear regression. It is j of theta equal to 1 divided by m summation over I equal to 1 to m half h theta xi minus yi square. So in this particular expression, only difference that we have made is this half multiplier half was outside the summation, and just for the sake of mathematical convenience, we have taken this multiplier half in the summation part. That's all. So this is our j of theta, that is the cost function of linear regression. Okay. Now we are going to define this cost function or whatever is this part as a function cost of h theta xi yi, and for logistic regression we are going to define this cost function, right? We are not going to make use of the cost function that is same as that of the linear regression, but we are going to define our own cost function, new cost function for logistic regression. And we are denoting here our cost function as cost of h theta xi yi. Okay. Now, the essential property of our cost function is it should be convex. Okay, it should be convex function. So, what we mean by convex function? The convex function looks like this curve, okay, and it is having only the global minima. There are no local minimas for convex function. And to use gradient descent, okay, with such kind of a cost function, which is a convex one, right? Or if we want to minimize our cost function g of theta using gradient descent, the essential condition is we should have our cost function that is convex. But now, if we look at this particular cost function that is described or that is defined for linear regression, we are having here sum of squared error. If we are getting or if we are using the same kind of function for logistic regression, then it is possible that we come up with such kind of a function, right, which is a non-convex function. So just look at this curve or the nature of this function. This is non-convex. That means there is a global minima, but we are having several local minimas as well. And if we try to minimize such kind of a function using gradient descent, our gradient descent algorithm will not ensure that we will reach always to the global minima. And that is why we are not going to make use of such kind of a non-convex function, but we are looking for a function, cost function for logistic regression that is convex. Okay. Now, please note here that our cost function is defined here as h theta xi yi, and our h theta x, that is our hypothesis, is a sigmoid function 1 over 1 plus e to the power minus theta transpose x. Okay. Now, let us proceed with the cost function. So, just look at this screen we are having here, the cost function defined. Cost h theta x comma y is equal to minus log of h theta x if y is equal to 1, and it is minus log of 1 minus h theta x if y is equal to 0. So this is the cost function that we are defining. So let us try to see the intuition behind why we have defined the cost function in this fashion. So I'll repeat, cost of h theta xy equal to minus log of h theta x if y equal to 1. If y equal to 0, it is minus log of 1 minus h theta x. So this is how we have defined a new cost function. Now let us try to understand this cost function. So what is the cost function that we have defined? If y equal to 1, we say that our cost function is minus log of h theta x, minus log of h theta x. So we are plotting here on the x-axis h theta x and on the y-axis cost. Okay. Now, we know that our hypothesis h theta x will provide always the value that lies between 0 to 1. Because our h theta x is the hypothesis that is a sigmoid function, and sigmoid function outputs a value in this range 0 to 1, right? And that is why on this x-axis we are having these two limits denoted here as 0 and 1. So h theta x value will lie in this range. Okay. Now, if y is equal to 1, our cost function is minus log of h theta x. And if we try to plot this cost function minus log of h theta x, this function will look like something as shown here on this slide. So see how this function looks like. Okay, now how to interpret this cost function, how I can interpret this cost function. So see here, this cost function is for y equal to 1, meaning the sample belongs to class y equal to 1. Okay, so if the sample belongs to class y equal to 1, the cost function will look like this. So this is, or how to interpret this function, if y equal to 1, okay, and if this h theta x is also 1, right? If y equal to 1, what is y? Y is the actual label, actual class. Okay, so if my actual class y is equal to 1, and if my h theta x is also producing the value 1, this means that I am having cost equal to 0. So if h theta x is y, when y is 1, h theta x is 1, when y is 1, then my cost is always 0. So that is denoted here with this plot. And what next? If h theta x tends to 0, so if my h theta x is moving towards this direction, if it tends to 0, if it approaches to 0, then what is happening? Just look at the nature of this curve. What is happening? The cost goes on increasing, and ultimately when it approaches to 0, it becomes infinity. Right? So what we are interpreting is, if the actual class is y and if h theta x, that is the predicted class, is also y, obviously the cost associated is 0. Meaning actual class of the label is 1 and my hypothesis is also predicting the class of the example as 1. Then obviously the cost associated is 0. But if actual class is y equal to 1, but my hypothesis is producing something which is less than 1, then obviously it is associated with some error or the cost. Okay, and as this h theta x approaches to 0, this cost will go on increasing, and eventually when h theta x approaches to 0, it becomes infinity. This is how we should interpret this first case, if y equal to 1. Let's look at the second case, if y equal to 0. So this is our cost function, and we mentioned that if y equal to 0, we are having the cost, that is minus log of 1 minus h theta x. So if we try to plot this cost function minus log of 1 minus h theta x, right, then the plot will look like this. So if y is 0, then this minus log of 1 minus h theta x will look like this. Once again, my h theta x will lie in the range 0 to 1. Okay, and if we try to compute the values of this minus log of 1 minus h theta x based on all these different values in this range 0 to 1, our plot will look like this. Right? So this is actually the case when our y is equal to 0. Okay, now once again, how to interpret this? So see here, if my actual class y is 0 and if h theta x is also producing the value 0, that means it is also predicting the class as 0, then obviously we are having the 0 cost associated, because whatever is the actual, That is what is predicted. So no cost associated, no error. So our cost associated is 0. But as we move on and as this h theta x approaches to 1, what will happen? We are differing from the class, actual class. So if y is 0, that means if actual class is 0, and if we are predicting h theta x which is non-zero, obviously we are having some error associated. And when we'll get the maximum error or infinite error, when h theta x approaches to 1, right, we are having the cost associated which will tend to infinity. Right? So this is how to interpret this cost function for y equal to 0. So in essence, for logistic regression, we have come up with some complex cost function. It is not actually complex, but whenever we look at this cost function at a glance, we feel that this function is somewhat complex. But we are having two cases here. If y equal to 1, what would be the cost? And if y equal to 0, what would be the cost? Right? I hope you must have understood. May I proceed?
Ma'am,
Yes.
can
Yes.
you show previous slide?
Yes. Yes. Any doubt?
No, ma'am. Ma'am, actually, I am not understanding why we are doing this.
See, ultimately we are supposed to come up with a cost function that we want to minimize, right?
Yes,
And
yes.
what is our condition to apply the gradient descent? We want a cost function that should be convex, right? Now,
Yes.
please remember that we are not going into the details of what is the family of convex functions and all, because that is not actually, or that is beyond the scope of this course. But
Okay.
simply we are mentioning that we have come up with this cost function. In linear regression, our cost function was sum of squared error, correct?
Yes,
Instead of
ma'am.
that sum of squared error, we have come up with this cost function for logistic regression. And this
Okay.
cost function is convex cost function. That is why we are using such kind of a cost function, because further we would like to minimize it.
Yes,
Okay?
ma'am, and yeah, yes, ma'am. And ma'am, here we are taking two conditions that if y equals to 1, y equals to
Yes.
0, means
Yes.
it is a class for classification.
Yes, obviously, logistic regression is being used for classification task.
Okay, okay. Means for
Okay?
these are two conditions for means predicting y equals to 1 and y equals to 0.
Yes. And in
Okay.
fact, see, in fact, our hypothesis h theta x, which is a sigmoid function, that is actually, we have seen this
Yes.
earlier, but just for once again, for your understanding, h theta x, that is the sigmoid function. That sigmoid function is actually providing us a value that is between 0 and 1. It is not exactly 0 or not exactly 1. But what we have done is, whatever is the value that h theta x is providing us, right? We said that this is a probability, right? That my y is equal to 1 given x parameterized by theta. Do you remember?
Yes, ma'am.
So this is what our hypothesis is giving us, probability that the class y is equal to 1 given some x, right? So obviously this is my h theta x. That is how we can interpret our h theta x. So our h theta x is actually giving us the probability that the class is 1. So if my h theta x is giving me the probability, say 0.2, how I'm going to interpret this? I'm going to interpret this like my hypothesis is predicting, or my hypothesis is giving me the probability that is 0.2. So I am interpreting it like there are 20% chances that my example belong to class y equal to 1. If h theta x is say 0.8, then how I am going to interpret this? I am going to interpret it like my hypothesis is giving me the value 0.8, right? Meaning there are 80% chances that my sample belongs to class 1. And usually while dealing with logistic regression, we define some threshold like 0.5. We have seen this earlier, right? And what we say that if the probability is greater than or equal to 0.5, then we say that the class equal to 1, and if it is below 0.5, then we say that the class equal to 0. Right?
Yes, ma'am.
Fine. So we have defined this cost function. Okay. Now we have defined the cost function with respect to two cases, y equal to 0 and y equal to 1. And that is why we are having two separate expressions as cost functions. But now let us look at the simplified version of our cost function. So this is my cost function now, g of theta equal to 1 divided by m summation over I equal to 1 to m, and this is our cost function, cost of h theta xi yi, right? And mention that this cost function is defined like cost of h theta x comma y equal to minus log of h theta x if y equal to 1, and minus log of 1 minus h theta x if y equal to 0, right? So this is how we defined our cost function. But now let us try to simplify this cost function. So if we try to simplify this cost function, we come up with a cost function like this. See here, our cost function is like this. Cost of h theta x comma y is equal to minus y log of h theta x minus 1 minus y log of 1 minus h theta x. So let me tell you how this is equivalent to this. So how these two cases can be combined in this one cost function. So let us put y equal to 1 here. So if in this simplified cost function, if I put y equal to 1, then what I'll get? Y is 1 into, so minus 1 into log of h theta x minus 1 minus y. Y is 1. So 1 minus y, 1 minus 1 becomes 0. So this second term will become 0. So if my y is equal to 1, ultimately what I'll get? I'll get minus log of h theta x, and that is nothing but this expression. Similarly, if I put y equal to 0 in this expression, then what will happen? Y equal to 0. If I put y equal to 0, this first term will be 0. And the second term will become 1 minus 0. That means 1. So minus log of 1 minus h theta x. So if I am having y equal to 0, then what I will get is the same expression like this, minus log of 1 minus h theta x, right? So instead of remembering these two different conditions, what we can do is we can treat this entire expression as the simplified cost function for logistic regression. Are you getting me?
Yes, ma'am.
Fine. So let's proceed now. So please remember now, this is our cost function for logistic regression. Okay. Now, what next? This is the simplified cost function for linear regression. Now, this cost function is typically meant for one example or a single sample in our data set. Okay. But actually, we are having m examples or m number of samples in the data set. So, we should come up with a cost function that will provide us a cost for m examples in our training data set. And that is why we are having here our cost function for m examples. So j of theta equal to 1 divided by m summation over I equal to 1 to m cost of h theta xi comma yi. Right? So I is varying from 1 to m. I am having m number of examples. So we are computing the cost for each example in our training data set, and then we'll be having the average. So this j of theta is actually providing us the cost for m examples in our training data set. Okay. Now, just by substituting this expression, this cost function here. Okay. And what we have done is we have used this negative sign outside. Okay. So what we are getting is, after substituting this, minus 1 divided by m summation over I equal to 1 to m yi log of h theta xi plus 1 minus yi log of 1 minus h theta xi. Do you agree with me? Yes. Do you agree with me?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So this is our overall cost function for logistic regression for m number of samples. Okay. Now, what actually we would like to do? Once we have defined our cost function, next thing is we should come up with the parameters theta. Our cost function is a function of theta, and what this theta is actually a vector. Just recall back, this theta is a parameter vector. So what is there in this parameter vector? We are having n plus 1 parameters. Theta 0, theta 1 up to theta n. Okay, so this is our parameter vector. So ultimately, once we have defined this cost function, what we would like to do is we would like to find out our parameter vector theta, right? Such that the cost j of theta is minimum. So we want to find out all those theta values, right? Such that for those theta values, my cost function will produce the minimum error, minimum cost. This is exactly similar that of our linear regression. Only thing is here our cost function is different. Okay, so we are minimizing now this j of theta to come up with the theta parameters. Okay, and once we minimize this, what we can have the optimized hypothesis h theta x by making use of those obtained theta values, and we will use this h theta x, right, to predict the class of new sample x, right? So h theta x is of the form 1 divided by 1 plus e to the power minus theta transpose x. So whatever are the theta values, those we have got after minimizing j of theta, those theta values are being used to define our hypothesis h theta x. And by making use of this h theta x, we are going to predict the class of new example x. Are you getting me? Yes? Any doubts so far?
No, ma'am.
May I proceed?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So please remember what this h theta x is giving us. This h theta x is giving us the probability that our class y is equal to 1 given x parameterized by theta. This is what this h theta x is. Okay, fine. And once again I am repeating this function j of theta that we have come up with. This function is actually the cost function which is convex. As I mentioned, we are not going into the mathematical details of convexity, right? But please remember that this function is convex and it is having a single global minima. Just I would like to mention here that this kind of a function is derived from statistics using the principle of maximum likelihood estimate. The principle of maximum likelihood estimate. We are not going into the details of mathematics or statistics, right? But it is proved that this kind of a function is a convex function, and hence such kind of a convex function can be minimized by making use of gradient descent, right? So our next step is, once we have obtained this j of theta, the next concept is minimizing this j of theta, minimizing the cost function. So once again, as I stated, we are going to make use of gradient descent. So this is our cost function and we are going to apply now gradient descent for this cost function j of theta. So we are going to obtain the parameters theta such that this j of theta is minimum. So if we try to apply gradient descent, we have seen gradient descent earlier. What we do is we iterate through, and in every iteration we try to update the value of every parameter theta j. So we are having a loop here, repeat until convergence. Theta j is equal to theta j minus alpha into the partial derivative of j of theta. So this is our simple gradient descent, right? We have seen alpha is our learning rate, okay, and what this j of theta is, our cost function. So we are going to have the partial derivative of our j of theta. Okay, so theta j is equal to, or theta j gets updated in every iteration as theta j minus alpha into partial derivative of j of theta, and whatever are the values of theta j's, those values are being simultaneously updated. So this gradient descent algorithm we have studied at length earlier, so I'm not going into the details of all this, okay? But see here, we have seen that this partial derivative of j of theta, in case of linear regression, our partial derivative was like this: 1 divided by m summation over I equal to 1 to m h theta xi minus yi into xji, right? So this was the derivative, partial derivative of j of theta with respect to that particular theta j, right? Now regression also. If we try to compute, what is our g of theta? Our g of theta is this big expression. If we try to compute the partial derivative of this g of theta, once again we are coming up with the partial derivative that is given with this term 1 divided by m summation over I equal to 1 to m x theta xi minus yi into xji. I'll repeat. If we try to apply the calculus to come up with the partial derivative of this entire function g of theta, what we are going to get is, we are getting this 1 divided by m summation over I equal to 1 to m x theta xi minus yi into xji. And this expression is similar to that of the derivative that we obtained in case of our linear regression. Okay. So just by substituting that partial derivative, we can write the gradient descent algorithm for logistic regression as theta j equal to theta j minus alpha. This is alpha is the learning rate, and now this term 1 divided by m summation over I equal to 1 to m x theta xi minus yi xji. So we are going to update our theta j's in every iteration simultaneously. And ultimately, after application of this gradient descent, we will reach to this global minima, this minima, which we are looking for. Okay. Now, if in gradient descent, the derivative of g of theta is similar to that of the linear regression. So both the derivatives, partial derivatives of the j theta, we computed those partial derivatives of j of theta same in both the cases, linear regression as well as logistic regression. So whether it is identical to linear regression, whether logistic regression is identical to linear regression. Any thought? We have got the gradient descent expression exactly the same, that of the linear regression. So even though our cost function is different, we have got the same partial derivative here. So can we think of that both linear regression and logistic regression are same? Or whether they
No,
are
ma'am.
different? They are different?
Yes, ma'am.
What would be the reason why they are different?
Ma'am, the cost function we are using.
Cost function is different, no doubt. Okay, but ultimately in my
Yes.
gradient descent, what I am getting is the similar kind of term.
Yes,
So
ma'am.
shall we treat linear regression and logistic regression as identical or exactly same, or whether they are different? And if different, why? If identical, why?
Ma'am,
Yes.
in linear regression, the function were continuous,
Yes.
and in this, it's a probability that function lies between 0 to 1 only,
Yes.
and
So
means it is, so it won't be a similar type of.
okay, so I agreed that even though this term looks like same, we do not say that linear regression and logistic regression are identical. And the reason is the hypothesis that we have. For linear regression, we are having the hypothesis h theta x equal to theta transpose x. And as you rightly stated, it is giving us a continuous value, right? from maybe minus infinity to plus infinity, whatever it may be, right? But whereas
Yes,
in case of logistic regression, our hypothesis is different. H theta x equal to 1 divided by 1 plus e to the power minus theta transpose x. So this is a sigmoid function or logistic function, right? That is actually defining
yes,
our hypothesis. And that is why even though in gradient descent, my expression looks like similar, that we are going to minimize the similar kind of function in gradient descent. Similar kind of cost function maybe after getting the partial derivative. Both the things are different because this h theta x is different for linear regression and h theta x is different for our logistic regression. And that is why we are saying that these are linear regression and logistic regression are not the same things, but these are different. Okay, may I proceed?
Yes, ma'am.
Fine. In fact, we are going to discuss next in a simple 5 minutes. I'll be covering this concept. This is really very interesting. We have seen so far that logistic regression can be used as a binary classifier. What we mean by binary classifier? We are having the examples, those belong to two different classes. Okay, and logistic regression is being used to predict whether the label for my class is y equal to 1 or y equal to 0. Correct? So logistic regression so far is being used for binary classification, wherein we are having two classes. But many times we need to solve the problems, or many times we need to deal with multiple classes. So if we are having multiple classes, we say that it is multi-class classification problem. Say for example, earlier whenever we said that we want to classify the mails, whether it is a spam or non-spam. So two classes, spam and non-spam. So it was a binary classification problem. But now if we would like to categorize emails in three classes, say the emails from work, emails from friends, emails from family, right? So we want to categorize our emails in three classes: work, friends and family. So if I am having such kind of a classification problem, we say that it is a multi-class classification. Similarly, if we want to categorize the weather, whether it is sunny, cloudy, rainy, snowy, this is once again a multi-class classification problem. Now, whatever discussion that we had so far was related to the logistic regression as binary classifier, right? So we are having the features, say x1, x2, and we are having the samples or examples, those belong to two classes, and we come up with some hypothesis that will segregate, that will give us the decision boundary, okay, to classify these samples into the respective classes. But in multi-class classification, we are having the same number of features, say x1, x2, but now the samples belong to three classes, three different classes. Now, how to apply logistic regression for multi-class classification? That is the problem. So, in case of logistic regression for binary classification, what we did, we tried to find out our hypothesis h theta x, which is a sigmoid function, such that it may give me a decision boundary. So, by means of this h theta x, it was possible for me to find out the probability that the sample belongs to class 1, right? So if that probability is greater than or equal to 0.5, I may say the class is 1, otherwise I will say that the class is 0. This is how we use this binary classification or logistic regression for binary classification. Okay, but now we want to apply or extend the same concept for multi-class classification, because now we are having the examples those belong to 3 different classes. So what to do? So the simple solution here is we should come up with one algorithm that is 1 versus all, or it is also known as 1 versus rest. 1 versus all or 1 versus rest. So what this algorithm says, suppose this is our problem. We are having the examples, those belong to class 1, class 2 and class 3. So this triangle is our class 1, this square is our class 2 and this cross is our class 3. Okay, and we want to find out the examples, or given the example we want to find out in which class it belongs, and for that reason we need to train our classifier. Okay, now what we are going to do is, in 1 versus all, we know the logistic regression for classification, binary classification. So we are going to convert this multi-class classification problem into 3 separate binary class classification problems. I'll repeat. What we are going to do, if we are having more than 2 classes, we are going to convert our multi-class classification problem into the separate binary classification problems. So how many binary classification problems will be there? If I am having 3 classes, I'll be having 3 separate binary class classification problems. So I'm going to solve these binary classification problems and I'll come up with the solution for multi-class classification. How? Very simple, straightforward logic. So as here we are having 3 classes, what we are going to do is, see, this triangle is our class 1. So in first problem, we are going to learn this class 1. So we are having this class 1 examples and rest other examples, those belong to some other class. So this triangle is my class 1. Okay, and this rest of the samples may be class 0. So I have converted my 3 class classification problem in 2 class classification problem, wherein I want to learn class 1. So class 1 is as it is, same to that of original, but remaining 2 classes are merged together, and we are saying, let us assume that this is our class 0. Okay, now what I'm going to do is, once I consider such kind of a problem, applying logistic regression, it is possible for me to come up with some decision boundary. Okay, and that hypothesis or that decision boundary is defined by this expression h theta x1 superscript 1. So this is the hypothesis for my class 1. Hypothesis for class 1. Correct? So let us assume that I have come up with this hypothesis, this decision boundary. Okay, now this similar logic we are going to apply 2 more times to learn class 2 as well as class 3. So in the second problem, what we are going to do is, we are keeping the examples belonging to class 2 as it is, and rest of the examples are having one another class. So once again I'll be having 2 classes, this class 2 that I had, and the remaining samples will go into other class. Okay, so once again this is my binary classification problem, and after application of logistic regression I'll come up with the hypothesis, say for example h theta x2. So this superscript 2 meant for class 2. So this is the hypothesis that is giving me the probability that my example belongs to class 2. This is giving me the probability that my example belongs to class 1. So maybe I am getting such kind of a decision boundary for this h theta x2. Similarly, perform one more time the logistic regression, right, with these two classes. Class 3 remains as it is and remaining samples belong to other class. Once again, the binary classification problem, we come up with the hypothesis h theta x3. So this hypothesis is meant for finding out the probability for class 3. Okay, and let us assume that we come up with this kind of a decision boundary. So ultimately what we have done is we have separated our problem, multi-class classification problem, into binary class classification problems, multiple binary class classification problems. And in every problem we have come up with one new hypothesis. So this first hypothesis will provide us the probability that the class label is 1 here. So here 1 means this triangle, right? So we are having here class label equal to 1, probability that class is 1. This hypothesis will give me probability that class is 2, and this hypothesis will provide me the probability that class is 3. So once I have got all these 3 hypotheses, what I am going to do next is, see here what in general what we are getting, h theta xi equal to probability that y equal to I given x parameterized by theta, and here our classes I are 1, 2, 3. So we may extend the same problem for multiple classes. Here we are having 3 classes. Now once we have got all those probabilities, or once we have got all those hypothesis values, those are nothing but the probabilities. Simply what we are going to do next is we are going to declare or predict the class of the sample as class I if that h theta xi is maximum. What does this mean? See here, suppose this, for one particular example, if this hypothesis is giving me some probability, this hypothesis is giving me some probability, and this hypothesis is also giving me some probability. Suppose the probability h theta x2 is maximum out of these 3. This means that there are more chances that the sample belongs to class 2. So simple it is. Okay. So ultimately what we are going to do next is we are going to declare the class as I, for which the hypothesis is giving me the maximum probability. So we are going to declare the class as I if my h theta x is highest or it is maximum, right? So this is how we are going to solve a multi-class classification problem by making use of logistic regression. If you have any doubts, please let me know. Otherwise, we are going to conclude. Yes? Have you understood? Any doubt?
Ma'am,
Yes.
ma'am, I just end up with one question, that why we have used log? Because
Yes.
it's logistic regression, that's why we use
No.
something reason, like so something special reasons behind that.
No, see, as I mentioned, we may use another cost function as well, right? But ultimately, what we wanted is we wanted that our cost function should be convex. So we
Yes,
may
ma'am.
come up with the family of functions, no doubt. We may come up with another convex function as well. But whenever this logistic regression was evolved, right, the researchers have found out that such kind of a function right, is actually giving us the convex cost function, and that would be most suitable one. And that is why this function became popular to make use of for logistic regression. It is a good question, right? We may come up with some other cost function as well. But whenever
Yes, ma'am.
this logistic regression concept was developed, the researchers came up with this kind of a function, which is simple in understanding and which is also having the desirable property that it is a convex function. And that is the reason why it has been used.
Yes,
Okay?
ma'am. Sounds good.
Yes.
Ma'am,